Welcome to Cut the Sith Reading Club episode 17. We're an unofficial Star Wars reading club for fans by fans. I am your host, the lovely Colin McSorley, and today we'll be discussing Light of the Jedi Part 2, The Paths, by Charles Soule, or Soule? Soule? I'm never
Soule.
get it right.
Pretty sure it's Soule.
Yona, how are you today, sir?
I'm excellent. Happy to be here. This is the highlight of my day, unfortunately, Colin. No,
It's the highlight of
I'm
my
good, man.
2 weeks.
I'm good.
Outside of this, I don't fucking do anything except I've been binge watching The Sopranos. Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing good, fellas. It's good to be back and to talk about more Star Wars content that's brand new. So let's get to it.
Yeah. How are you doing today?
Don't talk. First of all, don't talk like that again. Second of all, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I have a question. They haven't introduced Scare's Padawan in the book, have they? The one from the comic book?
I don't believe so.
No. Not introduced, but they were talking about it.
Because I know Scare's been in very little of it. And I do remember the scenes with him. His Padawan's not like with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they mentioned him. They mentioned her in the first part when they're talking about who showed up to help.
So this has nothing to actually do with Light of the Jedi, then.
That's what I was about to ask. Is who? I know that I see the picture, obviously,
and
but
it's not a spoiler for the High Republic #1. It might be a spoiler for Dooku Lost Jedi, which we read, so it's like whatever. But what the hell is the Padawan's name again? Is it Keeve? Keeve Trennis? Yeah, so that comic book, I learned this from, I was watching the Star Wars Explained video that went on, the fuck was it? It was about the High Republic #1. And there was something that was mentioned in it that I'm trying to find right now. Is it? Fuck. Hold on. I'm trying to, as you can see, I'm trying to fill dead air as I Google this because I want to make sure I get. Yes. All right. So I am correct. So there were, when he was reviewing the High Republic #1 comic book, which stars Keeve Trennis, Padawan to Jedi Master or Jedi Knight Scare. I'm not going through that graphic again to figure out who's a knight and who's a master. That shit was a pain in the ass last time.
I could just look up the video from last time. I'll do that later, though.
Scare's Padawan, the main character of the High Republic comic book. Issue 2 comes out tomorrow. At the end of it, the Padawan gets promoted to Jedi Knight. The Jedi Knight is named Keeve Trennis. The comic is written by Kevin Scott. You remember we read Dooku Jedi Lost, which was also written by Kevin Scott. So it comes full circle. Dooku Jedi Lost. Dooku mentions one of the lost 20 is someone by the name of Master Trennis.
Good attention to detail there, Colin. I didn't remember that at all.
I didn't pull any of that shit. I got that from the Star Wars Explained YouTube video where he was talking about the comic. And I'm like, fuck. I don't even remember Master Trennis from Dooku Jedi Lost. But if you Google, because it hasn't been confirmed they're the same person. I think it's just Trennis is its own like Wikipedia page, and then Keeve Trennis is its own page. But it's like, I feel like if you just look at the fact that they're both written by the same person, I'm gonna assume that Scare's fucking Padawan, who isn't. I believe the comic takes place after Light of the Jedi, so the Keeve Trennis would still be a Padawan during the events of Light of the Jedi. I'm assuming at some point his fucking Padawan's gonna leave the Jedi Order and become one of the Lost 20, because there is a Master Trennis that's the part of the Lost 20. So that's why I was curious. And Scare is, I don't know if he's gonna take that well.
All right, Colin. Favorite part of this section of part 2.
What, Bob? What, Bob, is Colin's favorite part of this section?
I didn't know that there is this badass Gungan that just slaughters people so much.
covered in
becomes
blood.
soaked in their own blood. I was like, yes, yes. And then also the part where Marchian wrote, is it Marchian? Yeah, it's Marchian. I think that's how they said it on Twitter.
Marching, yeah.
Marchian wrote was like, I am the eye of the Nile, like my father before me.
Oh, yeah, he messed that guy up too.
I was like, yes, you are, Marchian.
I loved that fight that he had with was it Kessev, I want to say?
Yeah. Yes.
Where he like just throws like a shuriken and it chops the guy's hand off, and like, you know, they're getting into this whole fight and he just stops the fight midway through and he's just like, oh, and Kessev, don't forget to pick up your hand. I was just like, oh my god, I love him.
Tell
What a
you,
great character.
everything with the Nile has been like my favorite parts of these books.
Me too.
I actually have not cared about any of the Jedi stuff outside of the stuff between Loading Great Storm and Bel Zettifar.
Yeah, I thought that whole desert scene, or what I envisioned as a desert chase, was a lot of fun. I
liked.
I think that was my favorite part of the whole
Yeah.
part 2.
And I was sitting there and I'm just like, I don't fucking give it. I never liked the Jedi. What can I say?
And wait, what were the machines that they were in chasing them called? I kept trying to picture those. I did not do a Google image.
Is it the Vectors or is those the other thing?
Yeah.
I thought the Vectors were the new Jedi starfighters though, right?
Yeah, so what the fuck are the Nile ships called?
Well, they
thought
had
they
a
were just
speeder that they
clouds.
blew up, and then
I gotta say, I'm a huge fan of like the Nile hierarchy, like how they have, you know, weather-related titles and ranks, and how they have like tempests and storms and clouds and stuff like that. I really liked how Marchian Ro is, you know, the leader, but he also has like this big 3 group of, you know, kind of ranking officers.
He gets the fucking tiebreaker over every time.
Exactly, yeah. And I really liked the variety too. Like, you know, one of them is a Dewutin. Did I pronounce that right? One of the creatures, like in Jedi Fallen Order, Ninth Sister was another one of them. So I was just like, oh, cool. It's really nice to see that this species is getting some more screen time in the novels. And then the Wee Quay, and then another Twi'lek. And then the other interesting thing too, you mentioned you know, kind of a tie-in to the Dooku novel and whatnot, but I was more drawn to the mention of the San Tekka family.
Yeah, I was about to say, and those guys.
Yeah. And how, you know, I was explaining it to Erica. I was like, okay, so like Max von Sydow's character, I guess, like this is his ancestors, like in the original. And then the fact too that like Mari is basically like their human GPS. I was just like, Jesus Christ, like that's wild. It was wild to read about that. And how like he'd break her out of hypersleep every now and then and just be like, hey, we need new coordinates. And you
Zapper
know, every once in a while, and it. I saved a passage where it was like, oh man, now I lost it. Thank you.
Well, he keeps zapping her, makes shit up that she believes. She thinks it's her husband or doctor.
She seemed to believe she was still working as a prospector. Sometimes she thought Marchian Ro was her father or his grandmother. Sometimes her son, sometimes her jailer, sometimes her business partner. Her sense of time had gotten muddled over the decades, though her skill at finding new hyperlanes had not diminished. And not just the paths that Marchian requested for Nile raids. Mari had charted deep, secret new routes all over the galaxy, from the deep core to wild space. She seemed to think Marchian Ro was selling them to the Republic or whatever form of government she thought was currently running the galaxy. That belief was consistent no matter what identity she assigned to him. It was kind of like, man, like she's very old. She's at least a century old. She's probably suffering from some very advanced dementia. And, you know, he's basically just kind of using her as like a human computer. Like, that was pretty wild to read about.
I fucking love Marchian Ro. That's my guy.
I love Marchian Ro too. Why don't you be Marchian Ro then, and I'll be Wet Bub?
Because I have the Gungan shirt.
Okay, fine. I will.
The names don't show when we put it up on YouTube anyway.
I know.
It would if I did via the cloud, but if I download it to my laptop, they don't show up. I don't know why.
What was the other stuff I wanted to talk about for this one?
I wanted to mention. You can go.
Well, that Kesiv's raid on Eriadu, that was Tarkin's homeworld, I believe, hundreds and
Okay,
hundreds of years ago. Yeah.
the name sounded familiar and I couldn't place it.
Yeah, Tarkin's homeworld.
I wonder if that's where that would make sense too, because Charles Soule is writing the Star Wars comic that's out right now, and I believe that's where Tarkin took his 3 potential proteges when he took Zara and the 2 other people that didn't come back. I believe he took them to Eriadu because he took them and said he's like, the Tarkins have been hunting this land for generations. Go out there, bring me the head of like that giant monster thingy. And then she comes back and is like, oh, I sent out 3 of you, and the only one that came back. And she's like, well, yeah, they ain't coming back either. So
I wonder if maybe we'll meet some sort of an ancestor to the Tarkins, or if that might be like too fan servicey. I did notice when they were going over like the Jedi Council, like there were a couple of different members that had, apart from Yoda, I guess lived for several hundred centuries because like they were council members in the Phantom Menace. Like Yariel Poof, I want to say was one of them.
To me, not as savvy in the comics and the books prior to the book club. I gotta say, I didn't realize how much death and destruction and planet blowing up was happening in Star Wars. No,
a lot
seriously.
Of shit blowing up.
Yeah. Like imagine coming into some of these books and comics just not knowing that, the Death Star only blew up one planet. Like, it's fascinating. I feel like I'm the outsider on that comment.
I was just looking at my book.
I was trying to look up other stuff that I highlighted. See,
so
I highlight things. I don't take notes. I should take notes.
So yeah,
Jedi's dying left and right, and planets.
I stopped taking notes because it was just taking me too long. Because I could read like the entire thing in probably like a couple hours maybe.
I've already read the entire thing. I need to go back at some point.
But with taking the notes, the notes was making it like take like 3 times as long. And and when we go to the book club, I wouldn't even use like half my notes. I was like, I'm just gonna stop fucking taking them. I probably should have found a middle ground and just took smaller notes. But the one thing, because there's the thing, they don't mention who kills Marchion Road's dad, right? He just knows it's one of those 3.
Yeah.
And he never hints that if he thinks it's someone, because I want to know if we're gonna find out who fucking whacked his dad. It sounds like, because I've been watching a lot of Sopranos, like I said earlier, the Nile sound like they're like a legit mafia organization, because they have these ranks, they have this council. He's the head of the family, so like Tony Soprano, he gets final say because he's the head of the family. Marchion Road's getting final say, but his dad used to be the head of the family, and they had him whacked. So it's like this fucking mafia organization with like goddamn power struggles in between.
Steve, is it Nihil or Nihil?
Nihil, like annihilation or something.
I think it's like nihilism, right?
Yeah, like nihilus. Yeah. But yeah, like it's interesting that you say that, because like you also have Kasiv, and he's going to Eriadu and he's trying to like extort them for protection money. And that plan really got messed up bad. And then, Kasiv and the others like make their way back to Marchion, and Marchion's just like, all right, like what we have here is like a lapse in judgment, and like, something went down. Like, let's talk about what went down. And it part of me, like, I can see a little bit of the like mafia, like organized crime element to it, but they remind me a lot of like kind of Viking raiders too. You can definitely get that sense,
especially when you look at the art for them too.
Like how I guess the High Republic at this point is supposed to be like kind of more throwbacks to like the Roman Empire, and then you have the Nihil that are like the like the Vikings and like the raiders from the unknown regions, and no one really gets what their motivation is at this point. It is really interesting to read.
how about all the drug use and the rounders, and she didn't take a rounder and she missed her shot and they're all huffing it through their masks.
And they had one of the things that really struck me was when they were listening to the music, and it was called Wreck Punk.
Yeah.
And it was it was music that was made from like the wreckage of ships. So like those were the instruments that like
Hipsters.
yeah, it was really like, I was just like, man, these guys are freaking hardcore.
Ryan, do you have a favorite part?
Do I?
Yeah, you told me you were back for a few minutes before you go eat dinner, so
I don't remember saying that. Let's see. Favorite part. It's not a favorite part, but I just have to compliment how the book is spaced. How we constantly go back and forth between different scenarios as the chapters go along. I don't think there's been a back-to-back chapter with
Yeah,
the
I don't think
same
there is
scene.
either.
I don't believe there is either.
I like how it does that little jump from one thing to another. Eventually the story, well, that particular story closes, but let's see. The one I've liked so far is probably that outpost in the middle of nowhere. I'm very bad with names. I don't
Me
remember
too.
any of the
I know
Jedi
exactly
there.
what you're talking about.
The only thing I know the name of a starlight beacon. I don't know what that.
Well, you're talking about the kidnapped family, right?
Yep. Yeah, and
The Blythes, yeah.
yeah, and how they're actually pretty cunning. The way they train those, again, I'm bad with names. I'm just gonna call them beasts. To throw their riders off, and then they killed that one Trandoshan female by splitting her skull on a rock.
That was pretty hardcore.
Was pretty hardcore. But then, the Nile got pretty hardcore by throwing their child out of an airlock.
Yeah, I also imagine the father just totally dead, like brain dead, after taking a couple punches from them.
It's Star Wars. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he will be.
Cybernetic brain and all that.
I like the way they were trying to teach Belle how to fucking ride the Force wave down to do the cool Jedi landing.
Yeah.
No one's talked about the how they plotted out where the oh my god, what were they called? They've mentioned them a bajillion times. But the giant, all the droids being brought together to figure out where parts of the ship were going to be.
Where the emergences were.
Yes,
going.
thank you. No one talked about it.
Yeah, speaking to the mic, my guy. You went mute in the middle of your sentence.
Ryan, what did you think about the bit about the Trandoshan Jedi?
Well, I mean, he's clearly the best character.
Well, I mean,
Barely been in
apart
it,
from
Ryan.
Skier, I guess just the passage I wound up highlighting where it said Trandoshan Jedi were rare because the planet's culture was built around predation and supremacy ideals that didn't always mesh well with the precepts of the Order. Even when Trandoshan children have an affinity for a Force, it was unusual for them to be brought to the Jedi Temple for training. But Skier had not only made it to Coruscant, but had also excelled, becoming a full-fledged Jedi Master. All things were possible.
Well, that sounds like the Jedi just don't try.
Yeah, they're dickheads, right? Because
They're like,
it sounds like they're specifically not going and getting the Trandoshans. And it's the same thing with Darth Maul. It's either Queen's Shadow or Queen's Peril, where Maul is quoted as saying that he hates the Jedi because the Jedi never came for him when he was young. So
exactly.
I wound up highlighting a lot of shit from that chapter. Honestly, the interlude where the council was like debating about whether or not they want to go to war or whatever. And Colin, you messaged me as you were reading this. You're like, man, these guys cannot wait to go to war, can they?
Can we just talk about how
it ends with them like, all right, we're gonna wipe these fuckers out. I'm like, seriously?
And speaking of the council, I mean, Jesus, some of these guys live a long time because, like Yariel Poof, he's in. Was it episode 2?
Yeah, and Oppo Rancisis, I want to say.
As you can tell, that was the part in which Ryan was disappeared from the computer because Steve already mentioned that.
Yeah, but I'm just.
I wasn't going to call him out, though.
I'm just saying,
That's because Ryan went thinking he was gonna have to eat. Then he came back. He's like, I'm back for a few minutes.
But still, the point stands.
Yeah, no,
Jesus,
they
these guys live
live for a
long time.
long ass time. They
Yeah.
need to impose some term limits for these
Seriously,
council
they
members.
need term limits, and they need to like get over the fact that people want to have attachments. Because Elzar Man and Avar Chris want to bang, and let them bang.
Mm-hmm. I ship it.
Every time I see
I ship
Elsa,
it.
I'm just thinking of Futurama. Knock it up a notch.
Mm.
That's what he wants to do.
Them two clearly are attracted to each other.
They're pretty thirsty for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Well,
no.
they made Rain together, so
Lewd.
But it's like, oh no, we're Jedi. We can't do it. Also, I'm just gonna say it. I'm pretty sure Obi-Wan's the only one that ever followed that creed. Until Corky was born, of course.
What are you talking about? Corky is Satine's nephew.
No, that's what they want you to believe. That's what big Jedi want you to believe. Or big Mando.
Lord.
So, in the realm of this book, no comics, nothing else.
Mhm.
Are the Nile going to be a big bad somewhere in the future, or you think this is a one shot? Maybe it'll be in the next 2 books after this for the High Republic. But do you think Disney's gonna?
I
The
feel
Nile are
like
going to be
they're-
the main antagonist.
I feel like
instead of the Sith.
they're banking on the Nile being the main enemy for this
Yeah.
Star
The-
Wars.
with all the concept art for them and everything, they make it seem like it's the Jedi versus the Nile, like this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And the
well,
Sith
let's
have
be
been
honest.
hiding for 800 years. They don't show back up for another 200.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like it's the Nile and that like weird like plant thing.
I feel
Well,
like the Sith could go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, but let's be honest. They're gonna introduce something Sith related at some point.
Well,
Yeah,
they're
I
already
agree
doing that with
with
the
that.
Acolyte.
I
The
agree.
Acolyte takes place at the end of the High Republic. That's gonna be fucking Sith related.
Maybe that's like when the Sith start to kind of take their first steps out of the shadows and set up the stage for them to gradually
This is the Sith.
the Republic out from under the Jedi.
All this period is the Sith are in hiding now, but doesn't mean they're not gone. They were always there, waiting and scheming, cleaning from the shadows. Just the Jedi don't know they exist because the
Plus,
Jedi
you
are
have
idiots.
you have the Sith Eternal living on Exegol at this point
Yeah.
still, and probably helping to perpetuate the teachings. So,
But I do think the Nile are gonna be the badass. I'm hoping my guy Marchion Ro gets whacked. I love him. I love my man, but I'm hoping he gets whacked because I want
By
this shit
who?
to fucking someone else in the Nile. I have no
you,
idea who
so
yet.
you want it to be like Kassav or one of the other like
I'm
big
gonna be
two?
Wet Bub.
You want Wet Bub to be the new leader?
No, not to be the new leader. I want him to be the one hired for the job.
Oh man,
I want like the new leader, like Wet Bub. You're the guy for this mission.
I want Wet Bub
Whack.
to show up in the comics so badly. I want him there. I want him to be a
Like,
recurring
Wet Bub
major
just goes
villain.
up and just fucking like stabs him. It's like nothing personal, boss.
He feels like a character I would make for tabletop. It's great.
So glad that they recovered the Gungan justice.
I really am hoping that they become like major threats. I really like Marchion Ro a lot as a
Mhm.
character. I feel like, and I remember reading that Charles Soule said in interviews that Marchion Ro was like the hardest part of writing this book, was that they wanted to create a villain that could stand toe to toe with like Vader and Kylo Ren and like all the other major masked threats of Star Wars in the past. Like they wanted someone that could be an equal to them. So like even if he doesn't appear to be force sensitive or anything like that, like I guess they wanted someone with that same sort of presence and charisma. And the part where he's going back to again the part where he's addressing his 3 lieutenants, and it keeps being like, this is the moment. He's like getting everybody all rallied up as he's kicking Kassav's ass, and then being like, this is the moment where we fight the Jedi and, we get justice for the Nile. Like it's very captivating to read. Honestly, I like it a lot.
I hope one of the Nile is like secretly force sensitive and then tries to betray them to the Jedi. And everyone's like, I can't believe it. Sal was a snitch. He traded us out to the Jedi, and they fucking whack him.
You've been watching too much.
Watching a lot of
You're watching too much.
It's like fucking. He's in the meeting with like Marchie and Rowan, like the big three, and he's wearing a wire. And fucking Avar Chris is like listening with her like forced telepathy. It's like, we got him now. It's like, I can't believe it. You were like a son to me. Oh yeah. Then Wet Bub. Wet Bub would never be a snitch. Wet Bub's fucking ride or die till he dies.
He's tight-lipped. He's not saying nothing.
I hope there is in part 3 there is just some fucking. I want to see a lot.
You want a fight scene with Wet Bub in part 3?
I want him to kill a Jedi with their own lightsaber. I have a very specific need. I want this motherfucker to like chop an arm off, rip the lightsaber and just like jam it through someone. They introduced us to 1 million Jedi in this era. Start fucking killing some of them.
There are a lot of Jedi.
That's my only hard part, as I said to Colin earlier in text, just so many characters. And while I'm reading, I do not Google the alien, what they look like, anything. It's just I go by the names and it's still too much. Or for me, it's not a complaint. It sounds like a complaint, but it's a lot of names to follow.
It was like when I watched Game of Thrones and everyone would be like mentioning people's names to me. You show me a picture of someone, like, I know who that guy is. You told me that guy's names, I had no fucking idea. With the books, there's no pictures. So it's like, I know who a few of them are because I know what they look like. I know, like, Briaga because he's the Wookiee. I know Avar Chris because she's the blonde chick. I know Elzar Mann because he's the guy next to her. I know Loden Greatstorm because it's the green Twi'lek. Or is it Twi'lek? I don't know. And then Bel Zedithar, I know him because I actually know a lot of them. Not gonna lie. Now that I'm going through my head, I was like, bang.
What's the difference between Stellan Krios and Elzar Mann?
Fuck that is. I know who Elzar Mann is. I had no idea who Stellan Krios is.
Because Elzar Mann is the man.
That's true.
What's made it me is the chapters all have where everything is going down. So that's been easier to follow in terms of, okay, I know that these two characters are positioned here. These are where that has made it easier.
It seemed like it was weird too because there were some long chapters in part 2.
Chapter 28 and 29 were
and then long. The end of part 2, chapters 32 to 35 plus the interlude at the end was a total of 25 pages. But there were 15-page chapters in here as well. So it was
I wonder if maybe he just got into such a rhythm as he was writing this he couldn't stop. And was just like, I have to keep going. What were the longer ones? Like the one with Mari Santeka, I feel was one of the longer chapters, probably. The chapter where Martian fought against Kassev, I feel like was a longer one too. But it might have been a shorter one. I don't know. I can't remember.
What's it?
I'm pretty sure it's 29 and 28. I just don't know who the name.
No, 22 goes from 158 to 174.
Damn. So that's the entire length of the last 6 chapters plus the interlude.
Yeah. Because so there was 30. It ends at chapter 35, and then after chapter 35 is the interlude. Chapter 32 to the interlude goes from page 276 to 301. Because I was reading that. I was ready Saturday and Sunday and Monday. And I was breaking them up into thirds by the chapters. And then I looked at Monday, I was like, oh, I only have fucking 25 pages left. I was like, oops. I was like, no wonder Sunday felt so long.
Part 3, no spoilers or anything, I will say it's short. I want to say that it was maybe the last 20% of the book or something like that was part 3.
Yeah, because part 1 was 120 something pages. I want to say, and part 2 was 180 pages. And
then part 3, I want to say it was close to 80 or 90 pages, not even 100, I don't feel.
Yeah, right now, because it starts at 301 and it ends at 380, so it's 79 pages.
That's not bad, yeah. Honestly, I need to go back and reread Part Three because I feel like I kind of just read it more for completion than for comprehension. I was just kind of like, I just want to finish this book. I need to know what happens, and now I need to go back and be like, let's actually find out what happens and like see if more of it sticks with me. I think I was just like so excited to be, all caught up and whatnot. So I'm excited for the next part of this, discussing it as well. And I'm also excited for the next book, which, Colin, you'd mentioned Cavan Scott. Cavan Scott prepared Into the Storm, which is the next major High Republic novel, I want to say, that's coming out in the summer.
Yes, that comes out like a month. Is it June or July?
I want to say July.
Because the
be
second
wrong.
Thrawn book comes out in May, and I think Into the Storm comes out in like
the new Ascendancy book comes out like right around May the 4th, I think.
I will be sitting that out.
It's fine. You can sit it out. That's fine. I know you did not like the first one.
My one friend is reading it right now. My one friend outside of book club, and he has a lot of the same criticisms that we.
It's just I'll give it another shot at some point, but.
Do the audiobook for it.
That'd be a good go to sleep thing.
I can't do the audiobooks because I just fucking don't pay attention. Cause I'll listen to the audiobooks while I'm working, and I'll be like entering shit into like the computer for work, and while the audiobook's playing in my head, not paying attention.
And then you'll write out, and then Aralani, you just write that in there.
And then I'm just sitting there, I was like, all right, I have no idea what this person just said for like the last 5 minutes, but I'm not rewinding it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I didn't catch on to Master Trennis, which I should have.
You should have.
Bad Colin.
Shame on you.
But the second, was it the YA book by Claudia Gray that came out today?
Yes, it did. I thank you for reminding me again. You reminded me like first thing in this morning, and I have it on my Kindle now. So, gonna get cracking on that bad boy later on, I think. I know that we're reading it in like a month, but I'm just gonna read it anyway.
Yeah,
You're not the boss. You're not my supervisor.
I told you could probably read it before book club and then just read the parts again.
Yeah, probably.
Because I'm gonna read What's It? Test of Courage. I haven't started that yet. That's like the fucking middle grade book. I'm gonna read that one when I go to Disney World. I'm gonna read that on the plane, plus the Afra comic.
When's the trip to Disney World?
That is the 25th or the 26th of February to March 7th.
Nice.
Which would be good, Yona, because I'm getting my second vaccine shot on February 15th, so I'll be fucking.
Nice.
Ooh, I go on the 14th.
Nice. Did you get it at the same place I did? The
Museum
MGH
of Medical History.
No, I did the MGH Gray family waiting room.
Museum of Medical History. It was a blast.
Do I want to do overtime on nights and weekends to help like with the vaccine stuff?
Have fun with that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I want the money, but I don't want to do stuff. I don't want to leave my house. Well, there is an OT where you can work from home, but then it's like, I don't want to do that either. But anyone got anything else to say in the book? I think Ryan's eating right now.
I'm excited for the end.
What do we think is going to happen by the end? I mean, I already know, so I'm not going to speculate. But
yeah, you and Alex have both finished.
Yona and Colin and Ryan, I want to hear your spicy takes on what's going to happen in Part 3.
Someone important from the Nile is going to die. We're going to lose another Jedi. The old Jedi that's on the planet that Ryan was talking about, that I keep blanking on the names of everyone, but that old Jedi is dying. The one who has a beard longer than him or something.
Now, the other stuff that came out around the same time, Light of the Jedi, like the comic book, the kids book, all that, do we know if that takes place after Light of the Jedi, or does it just take place after the Great Disaster?
I feel like it takes place after the Great Disaster. I don't know when specifically it would take place. I was going to say something, and then it would have been a spoiler, so I stopped myself.
I think the end of this trilogy,
because there are characters who are alive.
I think the end of the trilogy is the Starlight Beacon's going to get destroyed. How
And
about
I'm just
that?
like,
But for this
these
first book,
motherfuckers might die in the book, but I don't know if the book takes place when in the
Before or
timeline the
after.
comics taking place. But Marchie and Rose gonna survive because they're not Nile aren't gonna be one and done. The way they've built them up for the months leading up to the High Republic, if they one and done the Nile, I'll be very confused and be like, "What's?" I would actually be excited.
My guy's not going anywhere.
I would be excited because I'd be like, "Oh, I have no idea where this is fucking going," for like a minute, and then I'd be like, "He was too cool to get killed off in one fucking book." This is like Count Viridian or whatever his name was all over again. Count Viridian City.
F.
So but I do think there's gonna be a battle at the end, and
for this
a
for
lot
this
of Jedi
book,
are dying.
for this one book, finally we're gonna get some kind of epic lightsaber battle, I think.
A lot of
Or
Jedi.
Colin, are you saying a space battle like ships, or are you saying a cuff to cuff, fist to cuffs?
I'm going fucking fisticuffs.
Me too.
I'm saying there's gonna be a fucking Nile. The Nile are gonna lead the Jedi into a trap somehow, and they're gonna fucking ambush them like guerrilla warfare tactics, like the goddamn American Revolution. Because you know the Jedi fight their fucking the Jedi start these wars and they fight them just like goddamn Great Britain. They're fucking marching with their goddamn flags, going, and the Nile are like the fucking American militia, like hiding in trees and shit with like crossbows, just picking them off. And this will fucking happen. They're gonna come out like a pack of fucking wolves. Like just
Ryan,
that ripping through them. Ryan's currently eating right now.
he's not there.
No.
Well, Steve, I mean, you've read the end, so
I'm not going to confirm or deny anything because
Yeah.
I want y'all to go in there blind like I did, and I want you to enjoy the third. I enjoyed the third part. I'm sure that you guys are gonna enjoy it too.
Wet Bub turns out
Hold
to be force sensitive.
I have to check something. Ryan, are you here right now? Okay. So Scare's gonna turn on the Jedi and kill Buryaga, and he'll ally himself with the Nile.
A rogue agent.
And then Master Kreef Tennis is gonna leave the Jedi Order like 10 years from now.
That's why he's called Tennis, because tennis, the amount of time it will take before he leaves.
It's actually Trennis, and I forgot the R.
Got me. You got me.
It's Trennis, and I forgot the R. But I like your idea.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've been fucking loving the book so far. I can't wait to see how
Me
it
too.
ends.
Yeah, no, I've really been loving it a lot. It's been a while since I've been genuinely excited for like brand new Star Wars content where like I legitimately don't know where it's going to go. Like apart from the Mandalorian, I guess. But what are you looking at, Colin?
Yeah, Colin.
I'm trying to make out the cover art for the Rise and Storm to see if I can tell who's alive. Because I got the picture for it in the back of the book.
Just go into any comic book news website. They'll just be like, some exciting things and takeaways from the ending of Flight of the Jedi. And it's
But,
like the book's been out
redacted
for like,
dies with the picture of the person.
yeah, that is my comic book news sites are the worst.
They really-
They're the
I
worst.
mean, was it Infinity War has been out forever, so you can say it. My favorite is the night before Infinity War comes out. Was it the Washington Post or someone drops like this? You can't believe which character made a return for an Infinity War, and the URL was like Red Skull Infinity War.
I remember you telling me about that. Yeah,
I was like, wow.
it's so bad.
Close up so I can go eat some dinner.
Yeah, we can close up. I'm done talking. Ryan's at dinner, so he can just fucking. I'll just tell him that we're done when he gets back.
Do our outro. Take it away.
Yeah, Colin. hit
That does
hit
it for another episode of Cut the Sith Reading Club. Join us in 2 weeks as we finish our discussion of Star Wars The High Republic, Light of the Jedi with Part 3, The Storm. Dun, dun,
The
dun.
Storm.
Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the little notification bell, comment on the video. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/cutthesith, Instagram at instagram.com/cutthesith. Join our Discord, link in the description below. Talk with us about anything you want to talk about. It's mostly just posting Star Wars memes. So if you love a good meme, join it, post it. Yona gonna eat food. Ryan's taking a shit right now. Steve has to tend to personal needs. I made that
Okay.
up. I don't know if he actually has to, but I assume Steve
Demon
has a life
souls.
outside of this, so he has to do something when we hang up. So I will see you all in 2 weeks. With
Nice.
the off button.